Well, good morning, everyone. It's Anita Parker here, and I have a very special guest with me today. Also, a very dear friend. Renée Warren is here. We are ready to talk about September 25th, Mastering Influence Authority, and you can grab your tickets on Eventbrite. So, Renée, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Give them a little introduction, who you are, what you're up to in this amazing world, and then we're going to dive into some goodies for the September 25th event.
Oh, God, a little intro. So I grew up in Northern Ontario, North Bay to be exact. Lived in New Brunswick for years before moving here. We landed here with the purpose of staying in Kelowna for 6 months. And 10 days in, we're like, we're moving here. And I run a PR agency called We Wild Women, and I have one of the top entrepreneurship podcasts in Canada called Into the Wild. I love podcasting. I was actually, oddly enough, listening to my own episode on the way here. By the way, if you want to improve at anything, especially when it comes to interviews, listen to yourself. It's the most nerve-wracking thing, but you can improve. So yeah, it's not narcissistic. It's you need to do it to improve.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
Like even me just talking and introing, I'm like, oh yeah, I hear where I just fluffed a little bit. And
Fluffed. Yeah.
Well, I got to use the proper words when I'm on the live stream.
Right? There's no editing.
There's no editing. So let's talk a little bit about the PR, because we will talk about the 25th, but I just want people to understand your passion for this, why you decided it, and what you want to pour into on the 25th in regards to this. So let's talk about those things.
PR. Okay. So I actually got into it by mistake in 2011, 2012, when I was actually doing social media and content marketing for tech startups in the Valley.
Okay.
So living in San Francisco, and before I moved there in Toronto, I became one of the first social media influencers for Twitter. It was called Twitter back then.
I don't know if I knew that. Yeah, Twitter. Yes. Now it's X. Okay.
Yeah. So I actually met my husband on X.
Okay.
And I was one of the top 10 most influential people in Toronto back in the day. And I won round trip ticket to wherever Virgin America flew.
Okay.
So naturally I went to San Francisco because that's where my boyfriend, now husband at the time, was living. Anyway, so I ended up partnering with a woman named Heather. She was in PR and I was doing content and social. And we created an agency together.
Okay.
But when we actually ran the numbers after being in operation for a year and a half, we realized PR was more profitable than doing it all. So we trimmed back the fat and just focused on doing PR, landed killer clients, and grew the agency to over $1 million, 12 employees, and had clients from all over the world.
That is amazing. Congrats. And so now in the PR world and what you're doing now, what has shifted from, and we don't want to give people too much because we want them to come to the event, but just some little sprinkles of where PR was then to where we are now in 2024.
Okay, sprinkles is that the pandemic created a massive disruption in the industry.
Okay.
And that shifted PR 180 degrees. And I'll leave it at that. Okay. I'm going to share some secrets on the 25th. All the secrets.
Okay, amazing. So let's talk about the 25th. So this event is going to be at Body Bar Kelowna. I know, I'm excited. Christelle has a gorgeous facility there, so it's going to be there. We've got amazing pop-up vendors. We're going to be supporting Koha. We've got amazing swag bags for you and giveaways, etc., etc. We have Renée sharing, and we have Sandra McCulloch sharing as well, who's another force. Let's talk about, our title is Mastering, Influence and Authority. Share a little bit of some of those key points that you're going to be sharing about. And I'm going to tell you about some of the feedback that I'm getting from people that are like, can you give me a little bit more? Especially the entrepreneurs. And I'll tell you why after you share your little tidbit here.
Yeah. So in relation to the shift in the industry, that building a personal brand and a personal authority means more now than it ever did before, because we are our own resume. This is what you're doing for yourself and your personal brand, whether you're an entrepreneur, whatever, trying to grow anything, is what creates the authority. Your influence creates the authority. And I'm not talking about, a million followers on Instagram. That helps. I'm just talking about you being the go-to person in the industry. You set the standard for the industry and people come to you. And that's what we're going to talk about on the 25th.
Yeah, and that's powerful. Showing up, like, the word authentic gets tossed around. And it's so necessary and important to be authentic and integral, and that genuine of like who you are and how you're showing up to conversations, to rooms, to
everything you do.
As everything. People are actually buying you. And I'm not just talking from a nominal standpoint. They are buying into who you are as a human being showing up on this earth. And I love that. That's clearly a piece of it. Here's what I am getting when I'm sharing with people about this event. As soon as I say they are going to help you on growing brand awareness with not having a ton of money to do it. Because right now, entrepreneurs, they obviously, no one goes into business not to succeed. We go into business to succeed. And certain people only have a certain amount of money or minimal funds. And I remember you sharing with me that you're going to also show people how they can grow the brand awareness without spending a ton of money. So can you sprinkle, again, a small bit of that, because we want people to come to this event and hear all the secret ingredients.
The secret ingredients.
Yes.
So having been in the world of PR for a long time, noticing the shift of, and I'll share one secret, is you used to be able to grow your social following by getting media coverage. And now it's shifted. And so now you almost need to have this influence in order to get media coverage. And there's other things in there too. But you can create a PR strategy and a PR campaign with little to no investment. And I have free resources on my website, and I'm going to share a lot of this stuff too next week. But we started that way. So we started a PR agency having never pitched the media a day in our life. And we figured it out. We figured out the low cost, no cost tools, and we put it together, and we're able to land massive media wins for our clients and land big deals too.
Wow.
And in this world, it's like, it's not tough to learn how to do it. Where people fail is they're not disciplined. They lack consistency and accountability. So those three things is what grows your authority and your influence. But when it comes to like PR, that's absolutely hands down the most important things, those three things.
That is powerful. And I'm just, as you're speaking this, I'm going through the Rolodex in my brain of like, okay, did I do that? Do I still need to do that? Like it's that constant refining and polishing of how we can show up in a more impactful way to move forward. So I'm super excited. Okay, what else can we, she's like, what is she going to ask me next? What else can we expect from you that evening in regards to, like, even you, for example, you with your podcast, We Wild Women, you with your PR agency, like the shifts and the turns that come from, and the opportunities more excitingly, what will we hear about that? In the sense that, hey, when you have done this, here's what can come next. What else is available?
Well, I am going to share the biggest secret next week about what you can do for yourself and your brand this year into next year. I'm not going to share it now. It's actually simple, but very difficult for a lot of people. But when it comes to things like podcasting, pitching the media, it really comes down to being succinct, to having a really great angle, and to consistently be pitching and following up. So where people fail is they just think that they're doing something, 10 times and it doesn't work, so they just throw in the towel. It's not for me. We do this in social media all the time. The people that succeed on social are the ones that are like, that was a banger, that wasn't, let's keep doing the bangers. Why are we repeating the ones that suck? It's about refinement, fine-tuning. You write a pitch, you pitch it 10 times, it doesn't get open, refine the pitch, keep going at it. It's kind of like going to the gym. You need to go every day. You need to exercise every day. The same thing with PR and influence building. Okay. It's like you can't shower 7 times in one day and not shower for a week. You need to shower every day.
Yes.
You can't go to the gym for 7 hours in a day and not have to worry about working out for the rest of the week.
That's fair.
It's daily doses of implementing these things. I
got a question for you. Do you use TikTok? Like, I know for me, I built myself mostly on Instagram. Where was I know you talked about Twitter and that kind of launched where are you building yourself these days? What is the most impactful?
Yeah. So I think most people, especially at our level, it's best to just choose a social media platform where our audience is already tuned in for that specific need. Like, we're both on TikTok, probably consuming and not necessarily creating, because we go there for different reasons. I go to TikTok to be entertained. Yeah. I go to Instagram to see what's going on in my community, to tune into things like this. So it's really about choosing one account and owning it really well. Once you figure that out, then you start doing something else. Like, we only started repurposing social content onto TikTok to have something there, but there's really no strategy there because it doesn't take that much for us to take a reel and then put it up. So I'd say that. But, for anybody who's a podcaster, one piece of advice I got this year was you don't have a podcast, you have a YouTube channel that happens to be a podcast as well. Video is everything.
Video is everything.
And especially when we're going to talk about AI too.
Oh, yes.
Especially with the onset of AI, video, because they haven't quite figured that one out yet. So video is everything.
Video is everything. It's interesting. That's when I was using TikTok, I've kind of just deactivated it for right now. I was repurposing everything from Instagram on there. And it's so interesting because now I'm telling myself a story about LinkedIn. Do you use LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know how important LinkedIn is for what I'm doing. However, I've told myself a story about that I don't know how to use it properly, that I need someone to show me how to, this, and that. If I could just do this, then I could do, the excuses. Let's just be honest. That's what that is. How is LinkedIn for you? Yeah. Is it?
So, really quick story is we had one client years ago that actually got a full segment on the Steve Harvey show when he had his own show based on the content we started writing for him for LinkedIn. And it wasn't even a year ago, I posted an article about PR for small business on LinkedIn. And it wasn't very frequent that I was posting, but this one post turned into a sale to get an actual retainer client. So it was like a $40,000 revenue earning post.
That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. So even though, and here's the thing about social too, when it comes to stuff like this, is we put it out there and we might get 10 comments, 20 likes, and 200 impressions. It's kind of like wah-wah. But that one thing, that was the exact post that still got me a client. It wasn't like this big banger. Yes. It's the content that person needed in that moment because they were already in the decision-making process. And so it's just about creating the system, creating a cadence to put out the right content and sharing it. We overthink the strategy.
I'm so overthinking it. And I'm like, okay, if I hire someone, then they can give me a hand doing this. Because I don't have the confidence, which is crazy because I'm so confident in pulling off a lot of things. But there's this, I want to love LinkedIn because
you don't have to. Here's the thing. Okay. My husband wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time.
Yes, absolutely.
And if it's something you don't love to do, you're not going to be great at it.
I love that.
If you have the means to be able to hire somebody, you hire somebody to do that. There are LinkedIn specialists. That's all they do.
Okay.
Is they write the content, you create the outline, you approve it, and they post it.
I'm down for that. So if you're watching, reach out to me.
Yeah.
Instagram, Anita Best Life. Where can people find you? We're going to wrap things up. Where can people find you? Share.
They can go onto Instagram.
Yes.
Renée_Warren, or my podcast, Into the Wild,
which is incredible. Yeah. And you can find tickets for the September 25th event on Eventbrite, Mastering Influence and Authority. We have some tickets left. I think we're almost 75% sold out. We can't wait to see you. Thanks, Renée. Appreciate having you today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.